Welcome to Two Across, the podcast where two friends sitting on opposite sides of the Caspian Sea catch up over a crossword. I'm Rob Cole, sitting in the Rasua district of Nepal.
And I'm Theo Bosanquet, sitting in the Herne Hill district of South London. Hello.
Hello, Theo.
Hello, Rob.
So I was just jumping off of a call. So I'm like double timing. So I had a Zoom call for work, full disclosure, just before this. And I was testing my microphone and everything on this while I was doing that, checking constantly that I hadn't unmuted myself on Zoom while I'm checking my mic. And then it brought up a traumatic experience, which I feel like maybe sharing with listeners from a few years ago. So I think everyone who lived through COVID had the same experience if you had a corporate type job where you had to do lots of Zoom meetings, which is a lot of people. And I think everyone lived with that existential anxiety of one day unmuting yourself at the wrong moment. And everyone heard, obviously, the nightmare stories of some people with questionable habits that they exhibited on screen by accident. I didn't exhibit something on screen, but my Waterloo moment, to reference the last podcast, was sitting one nice spring day. And eventually Theo and I are going to get into our mutual love of disc golf. But for people who don't know what it is, it's throwing frisbees at a chained basket. So anyway, I went out back during this really, really boring conference call I had at my last corporate job, which I've since left. And it was a conference call with about maybe 50 people, all very experienced, PhD type, very responsible folk. Everyone's sitting there paying rapt attention to what was possibly the most boring discussion I've ever heard in my life. So I said, you know what? My daughter was back from school. I was like, I'm going to go back in the alley and throw discs at the basket. But unfortunately, at some point, inadvertently, because my phone was in my pocket, I unmuted myself while on this call. And then the entire group of 50 to 100 people heard me throwing discs at this basket and saying that I was working on my putting. People thought I was actually playing golf. My phone was going off the hook with texts. I found out because I picked my phone up and I had about 50 texts from people saying, dude, mute your mic, and no one could figure out how to do it. So apparently this lasted about 15 minutes of intermittent sound of me throwing frisbees at chains, which is possibly one of the most embarrassing things that's ever happened in my life. So anyway, needless to say, every time I'm on a conference call and I'm doing what I shouldn't be doing now, I'm triggered. So that's what happened before this particular record.
All I'm going to say by way of words of comfort for that story is it could have been so much worse. I think throwing discs into a disc golf basket, yes, clearly you were not paying attention in the meeting. Clearly you were actively pursuing a leisure activity when you should have been concentrating on the EBITDA of some organization that you were involved in. However, look, let's draw a veil here, but needless to say, it could have been a lot more personal. It could have been a lot more visceral, and I think in some ways you should count yourself having got off lightly there.
I do. Some people said it was actually charming in a way because it was so innocently stupid.
My wife does these meetings every week or so where she has lots of other doctors on the call, and because she's at home and it's usually the morning, she's often in the middle of getting changed or something like that. While she's on this call, she's a lot more relaxed about this than I am, but I'm always very worried about her modesty. I'm like, make sure you're on mute and that your camera's off here, because all it takes is one little brush of the screen and suddenly you're in a whole world of HR nightmares. So yeah, let that be a cautionary tale.
Or put, a Post-it note or something on top of your camera. I was just thinking that when my daughter first got her phone, and she's a careful type, let's put it that way. For the longest time, she had this little blue sticky dot on the camera on her phone, the one that faces you when you're looking at the screen. And so I was like, why have you got that there? She's like, I'd heard that sometimes people can see through your camera and turn it on without you knowing and so forth. So she put this blue sticky dot on her camera when it wasn't in use to make sure that no one was spying on her, which I found very, very sweet.
That is very sweet. God love her. How's Nepal, Rob? Are you continuing to engage with local customs? What's been happening?
So I've come to site, which it's a big hydroelectric project, and maybe I should disclose what I do. I mean, I do a lot of work around with communities affected by projects. So I'm sort of what they call a social specialist in the jargon. So yeah, a lot of the work is actually coming up to this hydropower project, which has a lot of communities that are affected and kind of being in the communities and engaging with people and so forth. So today was interesting actually because they had a big earthquake in 2015 in this area that basically devastated it. I mean, I think most people have heard of the Nepal 2015 earthquake, but this area was actually the epicenter. So the villages are kind of traumatized by that experience. And then you've got this hydropower project that's, you know, doing construction and blasting and so forth, which causes tremors. So it gets people a bit on edge, let's put it that way. But anyway, a lot of internally displaced people because of the earthquake and that are double whammy affected by this project. And so actually what was interesting is that I visited a government site where they're planning to rebuild one of the villages, which was kind of heartening. It was to see some progress because there's internally displaced people camps actually in the region where people have been living in sort of temporary accommodations for the better part of, I guess, since 2015, so 8 years now or more. So that was really interesting just to see this site where people are going to be moving. So I saw that on the way up, and now I'm sitting, as I said to Theo before the record, in a what Theo compared to a Soviet gulag workers camp in the middle of well, essentially nowhere. But luckily, I've got pretty good internet.
Yeah, based on your background, it's pretty Spartan. But I think that's good for the soul in some ways, is it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, ask Alexei Navalny if he finds it good for the soul. Maybe his accommodations aren't quite as nice.
Yeah,
Sorry,
disclaimer.
that's wickedly off color.
Wickedly off color. I'm certainly not implying that spells in Soviet gulags can be good for one's soul. But good for you, Rob. You're not one of these guys that just goes on business jollies. You really do go on proper overseas work trips where you do really interesting and important things. So that is really, really good to hear about your work. Because I don't think, I mean, I've obviously talked about my equally important job as a theatre journalist, but we haven't heard a huge amount about your work. So I'm really glad that we've had a chance to talk about that. Should we start off our podcast? We've already done that. Start off our crossword for the week.
Absolutely.
Which I think is going to be Guardian Quick Crossword number 16,774. Just for information for listeners, we always choose these crosswords based on whatever comes up most recently. We don't see any clues before we start. We never consult any materials by way of cheating. So this is all happening in the moment, live. And we always set a timer of 30 minutes to give ourselves some kind of limit, which I'm going to do now. And I think I'm right in saying, we are now behind. We're 4-3 down in terms of our record.
We are.
We've got some ground to make up this week.
I feel it's safe to say that if we don't succeed today, we're just going to have to cancel the podcast. Or
yeah, it's white flags all round if we don't do this one. So let's get straight into it. Clue 1 across.
This is squeaky bum time, to refer to a previous episode.
Call back to our Alec Ferguson reference. So, pickled herrings, 8 letters.
Yeah, that's starting badly.
I feel like there is a word, and I can't remember what it is. It's Scandinavian, isn't it? It's like a Norwegian thing.
Maybe if we get some clues that cross that, to see if we can give ourselves a few things to help ourselves.
Okay.
This decorative collar is 4 spaces.
A decorative collar, like was obviously a necklace, but that's not quite right, and obviously much longer than 4 letters. Let's see if anything else comes up.
3 down, Theo.
3 down. Oh, Goldman Sachs, for instance. Investment.
8 letters, 4 letters.
Sorry, I jumped the gun there. Is it investment bank?
That's what I would have guessed, yeah. And that's a... Oh, no, it's not.
No, it doesn't fit.
Oh, I was about to do a little La Cucaracha meditated.
But it could be something bank, couldn't it?
It's definitely bank. I mean, it's got to be something bank. So
private bank.
Okay. But I think it's publicly traded. So, American Bank?
Private doesn't fit. Oh, this is not going well, Rob. 6 down, very appropriate clue. Sorry, 4 down, very appropriate clue. 6 letters, tragic situation.
Tragic situation. 6 letters.
This is a tragic situation.
Let's go down. Let's not get. I think we're on edge today. I think we're tense. We're not in our crosswording space. The one thing that we have so far that we feel confident in is the bank from the second part of Goldman Sachs. So why don't we go explore down there and see, for instance.
Oh, I think I've got one.
Let's hear it.
20 across, strong-smelling gas used to make fertilizers.
You can make bombs with it too.
So that's going to be ammonia.
Is it 2 M's in ammonia? Or 2
I think
N's?
it's 2 M's.
Okay. So AMMONIA.
Yeah.
And then we got 18 down. One's always on the move is space M space.
Okay. Do you agree with ammonia?
Ooh.
Were you going to say something else?
Oh, completely.
Yeah?
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I detected a hesitation and wanted to just clarify.
No, nothing for me.
There's a biggie which might help us with the Goldman Sachs clue, which is 11 across, humorous, 5-7. So
5-7.
funny something. No. Surely the first word there is funny. Or is that just making huge assumptions?
Yeah, I think it's for now we need a letter to confirm that. So let's not get ourselves locked into it. Here you go. What about 23 across is 8 letters and it's historically a ship's cheapest accommodation? Would that be steerage?
Oh yeah, well done. It doesn't fit though.
Because that's pretty long.
Oh, it does fit. Sorry. Yes, steerage. Beautiful.
Because that gives us a few things that we can chew on. For instance, 15 down, it makes it end with an A.
And the clue is detail, 7 letters.
Ending in A.
I'm getting bad vibes about this week's crossword already.
Well, I think we're just a bit stressed out.
We're only 5 minutes in. We are stressed.
Here.
Let's chill out. Take a toke on our metaphorical hooker pipe and just calm the hell down.
Very shocked. 6 letters. Then it's 3 spaces, A space T. Very shocked.
Wow. I'm just going to keep moving around until I spot some low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Um,
How about 9 across is 5 letters for talent?
Oh, the irony. Which one is that, sorry?
9 across.
9 across. You noticed, incidentally, we hardly ever get a 2 across, despite
No, we don't.
Our podcast name. Which, I don't know if that's a thing. Is that a thing? It just doesn't work out that you often get 2 across?
Probably not, because there's always a 1 across that would span at least 2 clues. And then by the time you get to the other side, the downs wouldn't allow you to have a 2 across. So maybe that actually makes the name of our podcast sort of cheeky.
Yeah.
So I think that the talent for 5 across could be skill. That's a 5-letter word for talent.
Which would give the Goldman Sachs clue a 3rd letter of L. And the Goldman Sachs clue, just as a reminder, is Goldman Sachs, for instance, 8-4.
Yeah. So what about 2 down, Theo? If skill gives us the 3rd letter as an I, and this is 7 letters for hiring something for a time. See, maybe this, because that could be renting, in which case skill would be wrong.
Yeah, I was just going to say renting, which we don't want it to be. Because what could talent
Well,
then be?
well, then it would be space space n space space.
If you've got a talent for something, you've got a...
A knack, skill.
This is really hard. Pickled herrings, that would give it a third letter of R. See,
Yeah.
I was actually now... I have heard of roll mops, but that wouldn't work with renting.
Really, roll mops, eh?
Yeah, roll mops,
Oh,
which are...
could be leasing.
Oh, hang on. This might... And then, yes, leasing. And then we have a first letter of the private... Of Goldman Sachs would be M. So oh, this is going to annoy us. It already is annoying us.
But let's not get
Let's not dwell. Let's not panic. 20 minutes left.
tragic situation would start with P if it's roll mops and it's 6 letters long.
Tragic situation. They're in a... No.
Theo,
Yeah.
if it's leasing for 2 down for or hiring something for a time, which I think makes sense, then knack would fit for talent.
Knack would fit. Yes. Which makes
But
one
then if-
down. A decorative collar, 4 letters, R blank K blank A.
Yeah. I'm not sure I like it. Why don't we leave out the knack for now and just keep it in our back pocket? Because we've had a habit of putting wrong ones in and it's messed us up.
Yeah.
Intense chest pain is 13 across, space, space, G, and then 3 spaces, which I believe is angina.
Oh, yeah. Still a word to make a schoolboy giggle.
How about merchant bank?
Oh, yes, of course.
Is that good?
Yeah, it is good. That's more than good.
Oh, and hey, I'm moving, dude. And then that makes our talent flair, Flair. And then it's a ruff for a decorative collar.
Flair. Rough. Oh, Rob. You've just solved the top left corner in about 10 seconds. That was a...
Sometimes it just comes together. So let's look at 11 across.
Okay. Well done.
Sorry, I'm moving too quickly.
No.
This
No.
is how I'm
Move.
processing my stress.
I'm just going to hang on to your coattails.
Humorous is now 5 letters, 7 letters, and the first word is space I space H space. And then we have 7 letters.
Okay. So...
Oh, can I add another one before we get into this? Because I think we need to find some downs. 10 across is created by volcanic activity. As rock, it is 7 letters long. And this goes back to our love of geography, or geology in this case.
I was going to say different ology.
Different geo. So I believe this would be igneous.
Yeah. Igneous rock, which gives 4 down. Tragic situation P-I -- A...
Yeah, tragic situation.
That'll come to us, I'm sure, when we get this third letter. That's going to reveal itself.
It's going to be hard to do unless we get the humorous. Should we try and home run swing on 8 down?
Yeah. Oh,
God.
it's an anagram. Oh, no. So it's an anagram of Club Alliance, meaning immense. So...
Yeah.
I was going to say ebullience, but it doesn't... I don't think it really means immense. And it doesn't have
bubbly.
It doesn't have a double C.
No. Okay. Let's...
Park that.
Yeah. Going on, 6 down. Sorry, I'm jumping around. Top right, 6 down. Going on Space, space, O, space, space.
Going on. Something like flows or
Yeah.
mm,
Oh, here you go. 5 across, we can get a letter. 5 across is 4 letters. Matching shoes, dash, and socks. 4 letters.
drum roll, please.
I think we'd say that'd be a pair, wouldn't it?
Pair. Which gives us an A.
So going on could be along.
Yeah. I mean, I'm essentially just filling these in this week based on your words.
Let's try 7 down. We'll get going. One of the locals is 7 down, which is 8 letters, R space S, and then 5 letters. One of the locals. Ooh, I think I know what it is. Could it be a resident?
A resident. I wish you were getting like really naughty, convoluted clues that I could console myself I had no chance of getting. But you're just nailing these fairly easy.
Innocuous.
Yeah, I mean I don't wish to belittle your efforts because I think they are very very impressive. I'm just feeling thoroughly outdone. I think I'm tired.
No.
I need some time on the bench.
Don't get yourself down, Theo. We'll
Thanks,
get
man.
it.
Thanks, man. 11 across. Now, this is our humorous thing again. We're getting closer. It's 5-7, and the second word is 4 blanks and then a G blank D. So, what ends G blank D?
Yeah.
God.
Well, it's probably GED because it's 7 letters ending in G space D. So.
Hinged. No.
Yeah, unhinged. No, it doesn't fit. Let's try 14 across. I think with the N as the last letter, it's shrewdness, and it's 6 letters long. Could that be acumen?
Oh, Rob. This is... I don't know what you've been imbibing in the Himalayas, but my word.
Clean mountain air, my friend.
Yeah, it is. It's just the sheer ruddy freshness of the air compared to the sooty smog of London slowing down my synapses. I'm going to get something. I'm determined to get something. 8 down.
All right, shoot us to the next place.
Okay, I'm going to ignore 8 down because that's our difficult anagram.
Oh,
No.
No, shoot. Oh, I know, I think I do have it. I think I have the anagram.
Oh. Go on. I haven't got
Can
time
I?
to be vain about this. Just tell me.
I believe it's,
No, tell me.
I believe it's incalculable.
Which would definitely fit with immense. Oh my God, Rob.
Because that's going to help us.
Yeah. I feel like if we were a tennis partnership in doubles, you'd be Roger Federer and I would be some, like, club amateur.
You'd be Martina Hingis.
Oh, now, don't speak ill of Hingis.
No. The Swiss Miss I think she held her part of the partnership.
I wish I was Martina Hingis. I'm more like probably myself as a tennis analogy. Right. 4 down, tragic situation, P-I. Dash. A tragic situation, A.
Hey, lest we forget, though, Theo, that you got roll mops, and I don't even know what that is.
Have you never had a roll mop?
I've never heard roll mop in my life.
They're good. They're really good.
Theo, here's one for you.
Go on.
I feel that this is a British word. 12 down is cornfield or pasture, and it's space A, 3 spaces, A, space, space. So that's 8 letters, cornfield or pasture. A is the second letter, and A is the third last letter.
And it's not a meadow, because that doesn't fit.
Sadly, no.
Cornfield or pasture. I mean, I was a country boy, in my youth. So this feels like a betrayal if I don't get this. Cornfield or pasture. No.
Okay, let's go to 21 across,
Yeah.
which I think is a good... Because, look, 19 down is space, 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 E, and it is kind dash sort.
Ending in E. So nice. But does that mean sort?
Well, I was thinking it could be a type.
Oh, as in like a... Yeah. I think that's a better guess than nice.
And then 21 across is eccentric, starting in B, ending in Y.
No. Let's see if we can get 15 down.
Ooh. I think I know 15 down.
Which is detail, starting in M, ending in A, 7 letters. Minutia.
Okay, that's good. And then for B space T space Y for eccentric. That feels like it would be a good British word.
Batty.
I was thinking butty, but that didn't make sense.
Oh,
The British obviously are a land of eccentrics, so there's probably have to be...
I can once again feel this building to an exciting crescendo.
I hope so.
Okay, we have 7.5 minutes left and quite a few to get through. So let's just... this humorous one is really bothering me.
Don't get hung up on things. We'll come back to it.
Okay.
Difficult to comprehend is 4 letters, 8 letters. The first word we have nothing, and the second word starts with B and is B space 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 L space N space.
I want to say baffling
I think I would agree with that.
as the second word, but does...
Let's just check the F on baffling would give us an F as the second letter of very shocked, which would be space F space A space T.
Actually, I think that is aghast.
Oh, nice.
Which means it's not baffling. Oh. Difficult to comprehend.
Oh, I got it.
Go on.
Mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling. Beautiful.
Because that's the challenge, eh? If you look at, boggling is never used outside of mind.
No.
I mean, that's its sole purpose in life. 18 down, always... Oh, go ahead.
One's always... Yeah, I was just going to say we've 6 minutes left. One's always on the move. 5 letters. Oh, nomad. Like you, Rob.
Like me.
Yeah.
A digital nomad. So then 22 across, he's a snappy dresser, is space space D space.
He's a bit of a...
Is a CAD 2 Ds?
I don't think so. I think it's a single D. It's a good guess. Let's see if we can get 12 down this cornfield or pasture. Because that would give us the first letter. Cornfield or pasture? Come on. Oh, Guardian. Why are you doing this to us again?
You know what? They're torturing us for having said or talked about the guilt wall and laughed about it. And now they're using this as revenge. And in fact, I wanted to say to our listeners that actually I do actually pay for The Guardian, but I always log in on my browser where I don't have the proof. And it always gives me the guilt. And it's really annoying because we actually do pay for the freaking thing. So if Guardian editors are listening, please don't sue us.
Farm
What you got,
something. So cornfield or pasture, farmland. Farmland, which gives 22 across. He's a snappy... Oh, dandy. No, that doesn't fit. A D dash D dash. He's a snappy dresser.
Yeah.
He's a
dodo.
dodo. Oh no.
let's come back to it. I think it's time to hit humorous. It's 5 letters, 7 letters. The second word is space, space, A, space, G, space, D. So you have to imagine it's either ANGED or ARGED, right?
Yeah. The fourth letter of the second word is N, which would mean it ends in anged.
Yeah.
So
unless a long is wrong, that is possible. I mean, we just had A space O space space.
Yeah.
And the clue was going on.
Yeah.
Maybe a long is wrong. It's not a great answer.
But it does fit. I'll take the G out just in case. Oh, God. Here we go again. And this snappy dresser thing, I think we've got those other ones right. Farmland.
Oh, definitely we do.
And nomad. So D. Well, let's go through the vowels. A da. A and E.
Dude.
A dude. A dude. Well done.
Okay, we got 2 left here, Theo. We got okay, let's just read it out to our listeners. Tragic situation is P space I space space space. And then we've got a humorous, which is space I space H space, and then second word space space A space 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 D. The third last letter may be a G, but we're keeping it out to not do what we always do by hemming ourselves in with false cluage. Tragic situation. P space I space space space.
1 minute 20 seconds. This is so annoying.
Oh, I got it. It's lighthearted.
Oh my God. That means a long was wrong.
Yeah.
So
you look at the tragic situation, I'll figure out the other one.
Okay.
Go. Going on could be about.
I've got tragic situation. It's plight.
And I think it might be about here, Theo, because going on is A space O space T.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my God.
Are we willing to take about, or I mean, could be a lot. About.
We've got 25 seconds left. I can't think of another word that fits that.
The only 2 I think are aloft and about, but going on.
About. I think going on. Does about mean? Well, look, we haven't got a better guess, and that's it. So.
Dude, we completed this one. Even if about is wrong, we completed this thing.
You absolutely kicked the door in with lighthearted. That was just a wonderful, wonderful moment. It was
the I space H.
Yeah.
I mean, what goes between an I and an H but a G?
Absolutely.
And then, it all.
Okay, time for the big reveal.
Please be right about.
Please be about. Please be about. Here we go.
We need this.
We do. Are you ready?
No.
It's not. It's a foot.
Oh, for fa.
Oh, for fa. That is a bad clue, Guardian. That is a bad clue. A foot. And we've got everything else right.
We really, really worked. I think that whole crossword was a lot lighter on the general lighthearted banter that usually accompanies it, but I think it made up for it in tension and potentially a great payoff. We're a foot, not a foot.
A foot. I'm tempted to just give us that one for sheer endeavour, but I can't.
Oh, no, let's re-record that end bit. Right, ready? Okay, just a second. We're going to reverse 2 minutes. And we're at time. Theo, check it out in The Guardian. It's just that last one about. Give it a look.
It's correct! No one else checked that. No listener checked that. And
Huzzah!
huzzah! Oh yeah,
We're 4-4. Oh,
oh
it's like when I was a kid, I used to sometimes after the Canadians would lose a hockey game. You must have that as a Newcastle fan. Like you'd sort of fall asleep and you dream that the result wasn't what it was, and actually they'd won, and you think, oh, I knew they hadn't lost, and you were so happy in your dream.
many times. Yes, as they say of Newcastle fans, very often it's the hope that kills you, and it's killed me many times. Although, of course, now we're owned by a dubious oligarchy. It's suddenly looking a lot brighter on the Tyne. But anyway, let's not get into that. Now, we've got into this thing recently where we've been recommending podcasts, and I wanted to recommend one this week by a guy who, it turns out, used to have a podcast that did a very similar thing to ours. It was called Crosswords Podcast, and he's a comedian called Ian Smith, and he would interview other comedians whilst doing the Guardian Quick Crossword. So, with apologies to Ian Smith, but I'm not going to say nicking your idea, because we genuinely didn't know about the idea until this, our 8th episode of Two Across. But anyway, he has finished doing that podcast. I think it finished in 2021. And he now does another podcast called Northern News, which was recommended to me by a friend. And it is really, really, really funny. As someone who grew up in the northeast of England, I can relate to it. They basically take stories from local newspapers in the north of England and spin comedy gold on the back of them. And yes, so I highly, highly recommend that one. And thank you, Ian, for being our crosswording forebear in some sense with your own, no doubt, excellent podcast, Crosswords.
He carried the cross, as it were.
He did. He carried the cross of words before we took it upon our shoulders and dragged it through the streets. Rather unsuccessfully, it turns out.
I was going to say be ours to hold it high, but really it's more like be ours to drop it in the mud about 2 paces after receiving its burden on our back.
Today I really feel like that as well. I'm really lying in the gutter in my sandals, just weeping, having broken several bones in the effort of getting this thing over the cobbled streets, and ultimately failing. But Rob, I think there's nobility in failure, and I think we can take some comfort just from the fact, as you say, we completed it. We got to the end. We stared victory in the face, and we said no, not today, not today. But when it does come, it will be all the sweeter.
It isn't what they call that, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
That's exactly what we did today. It's exactly, we were there right in the jaws, examining the molars of victory, and suddenly they were snapped shut as we removed the tongue of failure.
Yes, sadly enough. So on your, maybe the last podcast talk, you'd recommended the Adam Buxton podcast, which I finally got around to listening to, and I looked at it this week as I've been walking around the city at times just to get a bit of walking with my pollution mask on, because Kathmandu is horribly polluted, and listening to podcasts just to keep myself sort of occupied. And so I looked at Adam Buxton and I saw that he had an interview with Werner Herzog, who I've always loved, kind of everything about him, most of all his monologues. So the most recent episode with the interview with Werner Herzog is absolutely stellar listening.
Yeah, that is high on my to listen list. I haven't got to that one yet, but I can't wait. I've no doubt that is a...
Actually, there's some of the questions that Adam asked are really good, and one of them was about, for some reason he asked him about psychotherapy and what he thought about it, and Werner Herzog's answer was basically something along the lines of, I don't think you should be going into the past too far, shedding light into all the parts of the house. Some parts should remain dark. And
yes.
He's essentially not a Proustian, and he believes that some things should just remain obscure and stay that way, which it is not certainly the view of the age.
No. That does not chime with our times, but it does chime with my national character, I would say. Have you seen that extraordinary interview he did with Mark Kermode, where he gets shot halfway through the interview? Werner Herzog, he gets shot by an air rifle.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a drive-by sort of random. I don't think it was particularly targeted. I think it was just some jackass in a passing pickup truck who fires an air rifle, and he's incredibly calm about it and just says, "Oh, I've been shot. Yes, no, it is okay." And Mark Kermode's like going, "But what? This is crazy." I mean, he lives a very interesting life and is a obviously very interesting filmmaker, and much besides.
I firmly believe that just sort of the way you live in the world brings the things to you. I don't know, I'm not necessarily a fatalist, but if you have that attitude in life that life is an adventure and it's just full of randomness, and you open yourself to that, then randomness just tends to happen. He was telling a story about how he and his brother had been roughhousing all their lives, even as adults. And he was saying a few years ago they were in Spain or something on a terrace drinking, and all of a sudden he realized that his shirt was on fire because his brother had gotten up behind him and lit his shirt on fire with a cigarette. And he'd done it entirely as a joke. And so Herzog said he has like ripping this shirt off and then being doused with Prosecco or something to put it out.
That is so Herzog. I saw some viral meme the other day where a guy sets fire to his own hat or something like that, which then sets fire to half of the venue that he's in, and he somehow manages to like put the fire out. He's so drunk that he basically smothers the fire with his own hands and feet. And this kind of scene just unfolds in front of the other guests. Yeah, it's a one of those.
Someone had the foresight to catch it all on camera.
Someone had the foresight to hit record and capture this guy. Anyway, on which note?
Well, I think my mutton curry is actually on its way to my room. I can hear a door opening, so
right.
Maybe
well, you go and enjoy your mutton. We'll see you next time. Perhaps back in Montreal, or perhaps not. I can see Rob gesticulating wildly to his mutton delivery man. You go, Rob.
Yes,
go
indeed.
Enjoy.
So the mutton has arrived. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us fail for the third time in a row.
Excellent.
And tune in next time for certain success, even if we have to cheat.
Never. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Two Across is an original podcast by Rob Cole and Theo Bozenket. Theme music by Enthusiasts. If you like what you're hearing today or on other episodes, consider writing a letter to 10 of your friends to tell them about it, and then ask them to write a letter to 10 of their friends. You'll get a grain of rice for every single person that likes and subscribes, courtesy of Theo Bozenket and Rob Cole and Two Across.